We're here with Arati and Kris, the co-founders of Orcana. We're about halfway through the Softeq Venture Studio, so we thought we'd check in with you and see how things were going. How are things going?
How are things? Thank you for checking in.
Yeah, sure.
I think they're going very well.
Well, this is your second time here, my first day here. I'm excited. I think things are going quite well. It's just a very different environment for me to be in, and I'm eating it up.
Yeah. Different environment from being in surgery or it's
being in hospitals. I mean, that's all I've known for the last 20 years. Mm-hmm. So my workspace, I've done other jobs, of course, but the last 20 years I've been in the operating room or in the clinic. Mm-hmm. Even though I lived in San Francisco and worked in the Silicon Valley and known about the startup world, mm-hmm. This is my first experience actually being in a space like this.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what makes this partnership, it just works so well. We have a third co-founder also who's our chief technology officer. Kris is our chief medical officer, and I'm the CEO, and we all bring such different expertise. His medical background is so essential, the foundation of our business. Mm-hmm. My background in technology or other co-founders' background in technology bring it all full circle.
Great. We've been talking about legal, IP protection, venture capital, marketing, right. A lot of different things. Was there anything so far in the last 6 weeks that stood out to you or was unexpected or surprising or useful?
Yeah, I think that when you're starting a business, you want it to be simple. You just want to work on the aspirational, the thing that made you excited in the first place, like that thing that you wanted to do, that you wanted to start that business and you wanted this co-founder. And then you get stuck in the details. So how are we structuring this round of financing? How are we forming our business? Where are we forming our business? Mm-hmm. And all of these little details, as you go through that, you just make choices. Because you're like, you know what, I just need to keep moving forward. A lot of the conversations, even including today, are around the details. And then we get to sit back and unpack what we've done in the past and think, okay, yeah, good, we've made some good choices. Or, right. Oh, maybe we do need to go shore up this other little area here or whatever. And it's nice to have that foundation or even just to have a sounding board to play back and say, okay, yeah, good. Mm-hmm.
Have some of the entrepreneurial stories that we've been sharing the last 6 weeks, have those been interesting or useful? Mm-hmm. Any takeaways from those?
Yeah, what I think is always interesting is somebody's story, the journey, and how everybody's story is going to be different. Talking about your failures is as important as talking about the successes and what you learned. And so even the entrepreneur who makes bread for a living to your position and the years of trial and error and to get there, there's always something to learn along the way. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Now you have a very technical product, augmented reality in a hospital environment, surgical environment. How important was it for you to have a technical partner as part of the studio?
I would say that was the thing that attracted us most to working with Softeq and the Venture Studio. There's all of the experience that we get through this group, their experience learning from that and that expertise and some funding, but what really drew us to this is to get to the next level with our technology. We can't do that on our own as a small startup. We can't recruit that kind of talent. It's very difficult at this stage of business, and with this partnership we know we're getting the level of expertise to take our product to the next level.
Mm-hmm. We have the second half of the program leading up to Demo Day. Mm-hmm. And anything you're looking for that you haven't seen so far that you're hoping to get out of the second half of the studio?
I think everything's in progress, so I guess you just want to see them come to that kind of completion. That in the flow of things that we're getting to that completion of getting that seed round that we're looking for, getting the product to that next level of the few major requirements that we had that we knew that our surgeons were looking for, that we know our medical device reps need, and elevating our product and in turn elevating our brand.
Mm-hmm. And this is your first time to Texas, first time to Houston?
Yes, our first time to Houston. Some interesting observations, lots of U-turns.
Okay.
So really enjoying Houston, liking the weather. It's just a really easy place to drive around and get to know. And yeah, you've only been here for a day.
Yeah, this is my first time in Houston, but I've always known it was a big city. But it is a
huge city.
Yeah, fourth largest.
And I'm from LA.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, fourth largest city in the U.S., I think. Might even be close to the third.
Yeah.
but also a very big medical community. So
Yeah.
I think that's actually something that you can leverage in your own business. Okay, Kris, so you're a surgeon, but you've been actually working with this technology. You've been an AR pioneer going back almost 10 years now. So how did you get started with that? What led you to that? Because your background isn't technology, right?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I've always been somebody who tinkers, and I did when I was younger code, but that was quite some time ago. I'm a spine surgeon, and I do like to see how technology can improve healthcare delivery, especially the operating room. That's mainly where I am. Over 10 years ago, I began using what they call computer navigation to assist in surgery. Right? So it's the way I think about it is it's like GPS for the operating room. You make a 3D model of a person's spine, and you put reflective spheres on the body, and your instruments are guided to where they need to go on that body to insert hardware. And you watch this all on a monitor. So as I was teaching a new neurosurgeon how to use this, as he was looking away, his hand plunged, and the hardware went inside the person's belly, which made the operation go a little bit longer. But the patient did fine.
Right.
But that was the point where I said, that could be avoided somehow. We didn't have to look away, particularly this hand-eye coordination. Not long after, that's when a company named Google started releasing these cryptic kind of announcements of some special thing they're going to be releasing in about a year. I thought to myself, if they're saying it's going to be out in a year, it exists already. So I had already been experimenting on trying to figure out a way to show images that I use in the operating room in front of my face without having to divert my attention away from the surgical field. And I said, if this is a see-through pair of glasses you can see these images on, that'd be perfect. So I started looking around, and lo and behold, I found that there were companies in Asia that already had these things. Back in 2012, I believe it was, I contacted Epson, and surprised to find out they did something like this, because I always thought of them as a printer company. But they shipped me a pair of their first augmented reality glasses, which were huge. The Moverio 100s, exactly, yeah. And I hacked something together and got it to work with this computer navigation software. From there, that was, I think, late 2012, I've been using different versions of augmented reality glasses, and for computer navigation assistance, for arthroscopy, orthopedic trauma procedures. And I knew that there were going to be lots of use cases. And that's what eventually grew up to what Orcana is trying to use augmented reality in the operating room to improve outcomes.
Great. So one of the things also that we've been working on is pitch decks and elevator pitches. And your elevator pitch down yet? You want to give it a shot?
It's so funny that you asked. We had this really long, elaborate statement that clearly is not something you would say to somebody in an elevator. So then we truncated it, which was still clearly not something you'd say to somebody in an elevator. And so now it's 3 words. And
go for it.
Those 3 words are augmenting surgical expertise. Because when we unpack that, we think what's so important is knowing that we can help support a better outcome. And the technology we use, we have to fit the technology to that goal. It's not the other way around. So we are using an augmented reality solution because it is the correct solution, not because we want to play around with augmented reality. We are augmenting that process, and it is surgical, and obviously what we're focusing on is getting that expertise into the operating room. Does that count as an elevator pitch? Well, it was like 3. It was 3 seconds.
Here's what's interesting to me. The reason that we founded Orcana was when the pandemic hit last year, I immediately saw the impact of this. Elective surgeries were canceled, even procedures that were coming through the emergency department, urgent surgeries being delayed. Part of it was because there was a concern about the spread of the virus. One of the use cases that I realized that augmented reality glasses could be used for was exactly this, supporting medical device reps to be present virtually in the operating room. A lot of people don't realize that in almost 100% of surgeries that are performed, there's a medical device rep needed. But hospitals and surgery centers were very hesitant to allow medical device reps who are going to multiple facilities to come in and out. We developed this solution, and the last summer of 2020, we actually had our first use case. I had a case that was canceled because the medical device rep had been at a facility that had a COVID outbreak the week before. So he was not going to be allowed, and nobody at that company who had been exposed would be allowed in this procedure. I called up the team and said, we have our first surgery on Monday. So Friday it was canceled. We optimized it over the weekend. And Monday we had a successful surgery. And that's when we realized we're onto something here. We kept building at it. Interestingly, we've done this all virtually. So we formed this company.
How long ago?
This is the most time we've spent together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Today.
Today, exactly.
We had coffee this morning. We've been hanging out this entire day, and it's the most we've spent together. The entire
amazing.
company is virtual. We've grown quite fond of each other, considering we've never actually spent any time together.
Actually, it doesn't seem that way. It's interesting.
Seems like I'm with you every single day.
Yeah. I met another physician who finally had dinner after being on Zoom calls and so forth for 6 months, and I greeted him, and 30 seconds says, you realize the first time we actually met in person. Blew me away. So we've been able to work with Orcana completely remotely. Arati's in Santa Monica, Southern California. I've been up in the Bay Area. Our co-founder is in Nevada City, and our business advisor is also in the Bay Area. But we live at distance from each other, being able to do this successfully. It shows the power of being able to use technology to work collaboratively remotely. It's sort of what Orcana is trying to do as well.
Yeah, we've been working on this for a year and a half. We were introduced by our advisor who did undergraduate with Kris, and I worked with him at a biotech company. He was like, you got to meet my friend Kris. I was like, oh, I don't know. I'm kidding.
So if the studio existed a year ago, how would that have impacted
Oh gosh, that's a great question. I think that what's interesting about this business and the timing of it, being that it was during lockdown that we started, the continuation of the pandemic, et cetera, we've really had to be creative in ways that we wouldn't have had to be creative without those circumstances, and sourcing talent and that kind of thing. I think we could have used the venture studio a year ago, certainly. We've learned and grown along the way, and we've slowly had successes. We know we're onto something, which is validating, but it's been much slower than it would have needed to be. The venture studio had participated, or if it wasn't a pandemic.
It would have accelerated our progress.
Anything else you want to say? Plug, whatever? Wisdom for other startups?
If you have an idea and you really believe in it, keep at it. There have been points in time where we thought, it's such a great opportunity, such a great idea. But are we going to keep going at this, or are we going to call it? And we were persistent. We stayed the course, and this is a big step for us. There are a lot of startups that don't make it even this far. We have a long way to go, but this is very encouraging for us.
Yeah, for sure.